this book literally transformed my entire life when it comes to leadership. And here are biggest takeaways that I learned about leadership. The core of this book is the lessons we can learn from this story. So that's the main focus of today's video. In this book, Mike describes the importance of trust and communication in your team, which is really important because if you don't have any trust in your team, you cannot cooperate effectively. That's why trust is so important, and so is communication, because if miscommunication occurs, then there's less and less trust, and that's why it matters a lot. Besides trust, you have to treat your team as a family. That's the biggest lesson I learned from this book, that leading with the heart, it's literally, as the name of the book says, leading with the heart is the biggest takeaway from this book. So it is really important to be open with your team, have those conversations, to have this relationship like a family, treating them like a family. In one of the chapters, it was like, oh, if you have any problem, just tell me, we are family. At any time, I am willing to help you. So that's one thing. Another thing is if the miscommunication occur, so it increases the amount of trust you have in another person. So they're kind of related. If you miscommunicate, you may trust less, or if you communicate well enough, then you trust that person more, and your relationships become better. So each one of them matter a lot in improving your cooperation in the team. And trusting sometimes can mean also giving the lead to someone within the team. So let's say it's a team of 10 people and you are the leader, and you give the trust, the lead to another participant. And this is what's called I trust you in a team. Often we forget that leading with empathy is really, really important. You must care and nourish your team. If something is wrong with one person, the whole team must be concerned. Because have you ever seen a successful person achieving a huge corporation or business by themselves? Probably you haven't, because without a team, individually, we are so weak. And what makes us powerful are the people around us. With the team, we can build and do great things, but by ourselves, we can't. Tell me, if Facebook could have achieved what it achieved without Mark Zuckerberg hiring more people and working in a team? Probably not. Even it started off in a team. So that just says that without a team, it's really, really hard to do great things. So it's really important how to be a great leader, become a great leader, and how to actually lead and work in a team. It's not all about dictating and being it your way and things like that. But most importantly, it's about empathy, understanding that you are family, you are dependent on each other, and that you are willing to do everything to each other. And in that case, you have such an amazing team, which is quite rare actually. I wasn't that lucky to experience a great teamwork, only once, and not for a long time. So unfortunately, I haven't had a huge experience in a good team, but I had in a bad. So can't tell you a lot about the bad if you're curious. Maybe in some future videos. A quote I pulled out when I was reading this book is, a leader who sets too many rules is making me appear that it is my team rather than our team. And it is really important not to be selfish. Even if you're a leader, it doesn't mean you're a king, that's it, people follow you. No, you are still just like them. You shouldn't put yourself or somebody else on the pedestal like they're the king of the team and you have to now comply to whatever they say and do whatever they say and believe in whatever they believe. No, no. You have to have your own mind, and you have to trust the process of thinking how many people think. The only way you can possibly lead people is to understand people. And the best way to understand them is to get to know them better. You are only as good as your talent. Leader goes. Access the equality of the team. Set the standard of excellence. Work with the team to achieve that. Here's a great formula for leadership. Leader, access the equality of the team, set the standard of excellence, work with the team to achieve that standard, and never let people's weakness get away on his strengths. A good leader should have a caring attitude. Leaders instill respect for authority by being decent, by communicating regularly, and by being honest. Commitment to excellence. It's what separates winners from losers. Excellence is achieved through discipline and hard work. Coach K stresses that talent alone is not enough. It must be coupled with a strong work ethic. Consistency, consistent effort, and dedication are what separate the good from the great. Success is built over time through regular, focused effort. Learning through the adversity is what separates a good leader from a bad leader. A great leader can always motivate their team to learn from the mistakes they made and never repeat them again. There's one thing that separates a good leader from a great leader. A great leader learns from their mistakes and can bring up the team's mood from the adversity to positive mindset. Positive mindset is really important if you want to become a great leader. In order to handle adversity well, you have to have this little recipe that will help you to achieve it, which is having a clear vision of where you are going and what you want and what takes you from point A to point B, and how your team can help you to achieve it. And remember, it's not they're doing it for you to achieve your goal, but it's also you do it to help them achieve their goal. So most likely, if you're working in a team, your goals intersect, and that's why you are working together. So it is important to remember that you are doing it for each other, and it's for everyone, not just for one person, to achieving their selfish goals. If you do all those things, but you are not very flexible, that creates a huge obstacle, because it's not always as it's planned, and sometimes you have to be more flexible with your rules as well, because in some cases you have to compromise for something else. Nothing works out in the perfect way. Your employees are not perfect human beings, and they cannot do a perfect job. So sometimes you have to compromise or take the lead and do that thing that they couldn't do. But most importantly, if you want to work with them in a long run, you don't just run fixing the problem. You teach them how to do it, so that in the future they know how to solve it by themselves. But if you go, for example, and fix the problem, then they will repeat the same thing again, and you would have to again fix it. But if instead you teach them how not to do it again, you would not have to help them again, and they will do it right, and they will become better as a result of your good leadership. Leadership is important, but how do you develop a mindset of a leader? So So the biggest takeaway is that leaders are not born, they are made. And if you follow certain traits and characteristical, becoming a leader is step-by-step process. And you cannot expect yourself being a good leader if you don't learn specific characteristic, if you don't study leadership as a separate skill set, because you have to learn them, and it comes by practicing. It's not always in theory. Sometimes you may face certain situations that will test your leadership skills and how you can handle with adversity and obstacles. But overall, if you're planning to becoming a great leader, you have to adapt the mind of entrepreneur as well. If you have a big vision for yourself, that after working in a corporate job you want to become an entrepreneur and be independent, you have to know what kind of mindset you should have in order to become successful. And for that, check out the mindset of an entrepreneur here.